Liv, we're back.
We're back for Real Talk.
Real Talk, our favourite segment.
Now, I know what we need to do at the start of every episode. Can you kick us off, please?
I'm Leonie.
And I'm Liv.
And it's good to be here.
It is so nice to be here.
We are here answering all of your qualms, all of your parenting dramas, and we are loving everyone for DMing us.
Yes, keep them coming. We've had some really good ones lately.
Really good ones. If you haven't been tuning in, listen back to some of our old Real Talks. They are winners. I am completely biased, but I think they're pretty good.
They've really made me think. There's just, we know this. There's so many different perspectives and experiences around parenting and the judgment we all feel, from others, ourselves, our families. So it's so nice to hash it out, and I'm glad you're all enjoying it.
Yeah, 100%. Today we're talking a bit more of a relationship lean. Back to our, this is the sort of the premise of the podcast is a lot of relationship-based topics, but we haven't spoken about them for a little while, so I thought we'd throw this one in the mix. But before I do...
Yeah, I was just telling you a little story. Yeah. I've been travelling for work lots lately. It's just that time of year. But I had a run-in. I wouldn't say a run-in, but I just had an experience that was... I felt like the universe sent this little old lady to me. So let me set the scene.
Yeah.
I'm at the airport... the days before travelling are always hard for Mark because he knows that, I'm going away for another few days and the load is going to, land on his shoulders. So it's not unusual for us to, have some tension. Yeah. And, things had been challenging. We're all good, but, there was certainly some tension. So anyway, I'm in the Virgin Lounge and I'm going to get my little piece of carrot cake to have with my coffee. And to my left, there is a little old lady. She's the most well put together older woman. She would have been maybe 85. And she's just standing there and I'm towering over her, a little 5 foot. And she said something like, I could kill my husband if I wanted to. And I kind of went... what's going on?
Conversation started right there.
It's 7 a.m. in the morning and there's this lady going, I could kill my husband if I wanted to. Like, am I safe right now? Like, what's going on? And so I turned to her and I said, pardon? She said, I could kill my husband if I wanted to. Relationships are really hard and I have thought about killing my husband 100 times. But here I am waiting again for the Virgin staff lady to tell me if there's any nuts in the carrot cake or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Because he was obviously anaphylactic and if he had nuts, he would die. Yeah. And this was like her duty. And I just thought, God, I love that. There they are. They've probably been married for 60 plus years and she's still frustrated hell that she's having to stand there to work out if there's friggin' nuts in the cake. And she has that choice every day of whether she kills her husband or not. And she obviously wasn't. But the metaphor around relationships being hard and perseverance and good days and bad days, I thought, I love you, little old lady. Let's call her Elaine. Elaine, I thank you for turning up at 7 o'clock in the Virgin Lounge to just make me smile and go, relationships are hard and God, the other party can annoy, us from time to time and we do rely on it so much.
Oh, yeah.
It was the best.
So did you just walk away chuckling?
I did. And I keep thinking about it. And that's why I wanted to share it with you and then I wanted to share it with the pod. Yeah. But then can I tell you what happened?
What happened?
I got on the plane and I sat next to a lady who painted her nails.
Literally
I kid you not. Whipped out the red nail varnish and started painting her nails and nearly killed all of us with that acetone smell of nail polish. And I was like,
is this person for
real? And is this a thing? It's 7:30 in the morning and you're painting your nails. I know you have an important meeting or whatever, so going to see your boyfriend or whatever. I'm sorry, but that is socially not acceptable behaviour.
Were people looking around going, what's this?
Yeah. There were people. And I'm sitting next to her. Usually I'm a ballsy person, but I was like, I've got to just get through this. It's true.
It's not going to, she puts it away now half nail through.
You think that's kind of odd, right?
Odd. So air hostess?
No one did anything. Everyone, me, the other person, she was sitting, I was on the aisle. She smacked between me and a gentleman. Yeah. We kind of exchanged a glance, and there were definitely people looking around.
Yeah.
It was weird. But anyway, that's just life traveling. You see
That is
all
life.
sorts of weird stuff. You have weird interactions with people. You see weird things.
It's bizarre. I mean, the weirdest thing that's happened to me more recently, this is more of a confrontation actually. I was sitting at a restaurant.
This is it's not another dry cleaning.
No, it's not a dry
incident,
cleaning
is it?
story. For those who haven't heard about my dry cleaning story, that was a number of episodes ago. Actually, I'll drop the episode in
well
the show
worth a
notes
listen.
because I think that was quite engaging. I got a lot of good feedback about my antics. But this one was less dramatic, unfortunately. Well, probably fortunately, but less of a good story. But anyway, I'm sitting there quietly with a friend, and we're at a restaurant, and I have my hair out. And if anyone knows me, for anyone who's seen me on Instagram,
Beautiful
I have a
mane.
big mane of hair, right? And I had my hair out, and I obviously was doing a bit of a Liv flicking situation.
Well
Liv-
known for the hair
Liv
flick.
used to love her hair flick in our teenage years when she saw a boy, she'd flick that hair. That was her go-to move. Anyway, so I'm there. I'm obviously moving my hair back and forth, chatting away to my girlfriend. Now, we were at a table where there was another table. I didn't realise, but it was directly behind us. And we had two seats back to back. So I didn't realise there was actually someone sitting behind me. Their back was facing my back. And I was like chatting away. And then as I sort of turned my head to the side at one point, this older woman, I didn't even know she was sitting there, but she was behind me. She was like, "Excuse me." And I was like, I'm sorry, what? And literally it was so loud that two tables down heard these two guys were at the table, and they even looked up and were like, "What's this about?" And I was like, "Oh, sorry, yes." And she was like, "Can you stop flicking your hair? It is driving me nuts." And her husband was this older man who was like kind of there,
here we
like,
go again.
rolling eyes, looking apologetically at me.
Did he? Oh my God.
And being like,
Yes.
I'm sorry. And the boys next to me were like, and I was with a girl with Joe. I was with her, and even Joe was a bit like, "Oh, is this for real?" And I was like, "Well, I'm sorry.
She'd had a bad day.
I wasn't aware." Look, as I was saying, no, you're not going to make me windle,
No.
And I'm like, I wasn't aware that my hair was bothering you. And she's like, "Well, it is." And I was like, "Okay, well, I'll be more mindful of that then. Apologies."
It's I
You know,
hate it
just
when
a bit like
it
I gave her a
knocks
bit of
the wind
tone.
out of your sails too.
Yeah.
Did you feel really awkward
No,
after?
if anything,
or you
I
were
was
fine?
like, I'm asserting myself
Oh,
here
good.
because you're trying to belittle
When
me.
that happens to me, like I find it really hard to bounce. Like it takes me a good 5 minutes to bounce back.
Oh, really?
Like I really go into my shell.
It did rattle me a little bit, but I, if anything, I became assertive. Had she not been an older woman, I probably would have been like, "What's your tone, mate?" Like I did at the dry cleaners.
dry cleaner
That was
lady.
dry cleaner antics where that went on for like
Oi.
5 minutes, but we didn't go there because she was older. I was like, respect the elders. But I was a bit like, no, you're not going to just, and you could see the eye roll from the guys. Anyway, as we went to pay for our dinner, the guys who'd been sitting next to us were up paying as well. And they were like, "Oh my gosh, you handled that so well." Like the other one's like, "I can't believe," she was literally screaming at you. Like, what? Like, and then Joe was like, "Yeah."
It's just
Like,
embarrassing
as if,
creating
like,
a scene.
The husband couldn't have just gone, "Oh, if that
Can't.
was bothering you, I can swap seats with you." Like,
Yeah.
there's ways to go about it. She could have moved her chair to the side. Like, and I'm like, "Mate, I don't need another brawl, okay? I don't need a brawl at this restaurant that I frequent often because now I never go back to that dry cleaners after that brawl." So I like the food here too much. I'm not having it, So, but yeah, so I was a bit like, yeah, you can get the good people that you meet in public, and then
I
obviously
mean, it
the ones
happens
that are
all
a
the
bit
time, like the
quirky.
supermarket, people who are just in a rush or people who are on their horn, which is occasionally me because I'm having a bad day. But
Yes.
those who just bring negative energy,
Yeah.
want to have a go. I
Yes.
mean, there's plenty of them on social media, as
Oh,
we all
yeah.
know.
Yeah.
It just becomes really, unsavoury. Move on. Move on.
100%. And this is actually, funnily enough, what we're talking about today. So this is around how we behave in public. So this DM came through to us, and this person said, "My wife often will tell off our children loudly in public, and she's not afraid to make a scene. She says that it's the best way to discipline. I often feel embarrassed to tell off my children around other people. How do we reach a happy medium?"
Oh, God. Okay.
Come on, Doctor. What do you got?
What have I got on this one? Okay, well, first thing, it's not unusual to have different parenting styles within relationships. So that's, or, a parenting relationship, marriage, whatever.
Yes.
So that's probably the first place to start, to
Yes.
talk about feelings. Hey, hun, back there when you absolutely lost it and were screaming profanities in our child in front of half the neighbourhood, it kind of was a bit much, and this was the impact of that behaviour on me.
Yeah.
Reflections, thoughts, was it necessary?
Yeah.
I mean, they've obviously had one conversation where, she's maybe dismissive of that, or is of a really strong belief that perhaps it'll correct the child's behaviour and maybe that person's wanting to signal to other parents too that, yes, I'm addressing the behaviour that is not good.
Yeah. I feel as though I've had this experience to an extent. So Jules, my husband, is happy to sort of tell of our children when he's in his family environment. So we're at his parents' place in Warrnambool. There's the cousins there, his brothers, sister, in-laws. I'm not in my, like, this isn't my family. They are implicitly, but you know what I mean. And then because he feels safe, he'll often be like, oh, no, don't do that. Gosh, like, or just kind of be like, that's silly. Like, what are you doing? That's silly. Don't do that. And this is the conversation that I would prefer to have behind closed doors.
Yeah.
It's more like, Noah, stop. And then this is where we met, found this happy medium, which may actually be helpful for this person as well. I felt very uncomfortable with the snapping and the loud, and then the rest of the people in the room is hearing.
Observing.
Don't do that. That's silly.
Is that because you're worried that they're judging you?
I just
or
felt
like it's embarrassing.
It's probably a deep-seated embarrassment. Yeah. Maybe it's a personal thing. Like, I just feel like keep your shit in order in public. Now, if others do it, I find it quite entertaining.
You want to, it's like you want to present.
I want to present in a certain way.
Yes.
And
I get, like, I just
don't want to be that kind of person that's chaotic. So, and as I said, each to their own, and I find it actually quite humorous when I see it in public, and I'm always like, I feel you, parent, like, I get it, like, it is hard, this shit's really hard looking after children. So our happy medium was, I had to have the conversation. I said, look, I know that you feel, and I notice you do it more when we're around your parents and stuff, you feel safe, obviously. I actually feel quite embarrassed. I would prefer if, for example, in that situation where you sort of scolded Noah in front of everyone, can we just say, Noah, stop? You can say that, stop, and you can say it loudly, however you want to say, and then come over here, I'd like to speak to you in private. We walk away, and then you can have your, your discipline, whatever that looks like, in your household, but do it that way.
That is a very happy medium. I think the other thing that kind of comes to mind is we care so much about what other people think. And maybe all those people who are sharing a park are not even attuned or listening, but you obviously, like, there is a sensitivity where it's you or somebody else. I mean, that's not to diminish the way that you feel.
Yeah.
But there's just this constant kind of feeling that we all have that, we have to hold ourselves to some ridiculous standard, that our families are perfect and all our children are perfect. And that's just so far from the truth. And the other thing that comes to mind is a few episodes ago, we were talking about when you do need to step in to demonstrate to your best friend or another friend that you are dealing with the behaviour if it is bad.
Yes.
So now I'm like, shit, we can't win.
Well, and it's interesting that I feel like if the child's in danger, if there's a safety issue, if someone's about to get injured, scream at the top of your lungs. I mean, it reminds me of that time, the most chaotic scream I've ever had in my life was we were in Greece, I'm going to say a couple of years ago, at my cousin's wedding, and she had the most beautiful venue but essentially it was this, for the church, it was this church, there was a runway to the church and cliff either side. So like this, just a concrete kind of road, cliff facing, church in the middle of like this kind of little thing. And so basically we hop out, my boys were in the bridal party, we hop out of it. So we go down this runway where there's cliff either side of us. I'm going to say this road is like, 10 meters long. In my mind, it was 10 centimeters long, because I remember being like, oh my God, as soon as we get out of this car, this is not child friendly. There are no barriers. There's no fencing to be like, if the kid falls over the cliff, like there's nothing like that. This is beautiful, spectacular. The drone is flying in the air. Everyone's having the best time, but it was an adult, an adult venue, not a venue for children. So anyway, my 2 and 3 year olds hop out of the car at the time. and a bridal car, and I have my 3-year-old go out one door and I go out the other with the 2-year-old. So I'm thinking my 3-year-old, there's no way he's going to charge towards that cliff, which is like 2 meters in front of us. And so I've got the little one, and then I just see, and that little one tries to charge to the cliff on the other side of the cliff. And I was like, no, grab him. We're not doing that. I was literally shaking because I was like, we need to get off this road. This is the most crazy road ever with the cliff either side. And then I just see Noah charging towards, like, water, and like running towards that cliff. I screamed. So like, because there were 2 adults standing near where he was charging towards, and I was like, surely they're going to notice. But they were in conversation. I was like, this is going to go horribly wrong. So I screamed. So like, and like, I don't know, whoever was around all turned.
Oh my God, it almost brings tears to my eyes, like the fear.
Oh, the scruff of his neck as he's like trying to charge towards this cliff. From then on, that whole church service, even like, I was holding their hands, like you know, like nothing else. And then my family were already in the church at the time, and I was like literally hyperventilating when I got to the church because they were like, oh, the boys are so beautiful, because they went down with the bridal party. And I was like, you don't have any idea what I've just gone through. I was like, Mum, Dad, you need to hold their hands. Like, these boys want us, you know, this is not a safe environment for children, right? And I just, so then the scream was appropriate. I'm okay with that type, but you know, that's.
I don't think this person is talking about guttural, like life and death screaming at the park. To be clear, but you are right. Time and place.
The time I was happy about screaming.
I mean, you can think about all the time in car parks too.
Yeah,
like
car
when
parks.
they run out.
Yes.
Like with, I mean, I think every parent right now is going, "Oh my God, yeah!" That guttural, like fear scream.
Yes,
it's absolutely awful.
Awful, but. You're right. To the point of this person, I feel as though if it's okay, so how do we have the conversation? Like that conversation
exactly how you had with Jules. I
like,
think that is
how do we meet
textbook
halfway? And also to that person who feels like, oh, no, Holden, I have gone in for the conversation and my wife has dismissed me and said, no, it's how we're going to discipline our children. Perhaps having a good think prior to having the conversation around, okay, well, what are your key points? What do you want to get out of this? How can you make this the most productive conversation? I often think about that when I'm going into a conversation with Jules that might be more sensitive, because I know it's something that might be triggering because he has his beliefs and I have mine. So sometimes I'll write down my key point, like, you know, just get all the fluff out and eventually go, no, fundamentally, this is the solution. Yeah. I'm going in with the solution mode. I'm open to their opinion as well, but I'm very clear on what I'm trying to get out of this conversation rather than having the conversation willy-nilly when the kids are around and they're interrupting you and you can't really get a word in anyway. You know, just being deliberate when it's things that are really critical in your relationship.
Exactly. And if it's an ongoing issue and you're coming across this, more often than not, then we always say everyone needs therapy. Like perhaps you get some external support, external facility to help you navigate, you know, how you're parenting, your relationship, whatever else might be going on, just to help you effectively communicate. Because, it can be really challenging, and just having a third person, you know, kind of lift you up. To be able to see the other side is really helpful.
And also in that, if you're clashing perhaps on this one top thing, there could be other things that it's likely that you're also struggling to communicate in other areas. So therefore, I mean, I've always put my hand up to say, you know, couples therapy certainly helped me in my relationship, and we were having a bit of a tough time when my little one was young. So, you know, and so many other guests that I have on the show have said that's been incredibly supportive, if anything, preventative, like, you know, to be able to support them during their journey. So I think that's, I hope that's helpful to that person. And we'll leave it there. We'll catch you next time.
See you then. Bye.